Everybody, welcome to Blue Sunday. How we going, guys?
Hang on a second. I thought it was going to be the start of Forever Rivals there with the way you started that.
Yeah, well, it looks like I'm starting the same way for every show now. Like, everybody, welcome. So how we going, Vince? Yeah, so it's a little bit of a different format today.
Yeah, well, can I say welcome to you, Rocco, and welcome to the host's chair. Unfortunately, Joe, who's over there in Bangkok in Thailand, has fallen ill, quite seriously ill. So we wish him all the best for a speedy recovery. But that means he can't join us tonight. But good on you for filling in for him and taking over the host's chair tonight.
I feel a bit like Lewis Young today, just like last minute, come into the ruck. I've got to now tap. Everyone's going to tell me off from over the boundary. So
and you're right in the game from the minute the first ball was bounced, isn't it?
100%. So we've got already.
You would feel like
fellas got a good win today. Yes, I think it was a good win.
Big 10-goal win today. Nice even 10 goals, 17-10 to 7-10. It was a nice round figure.
Brandon Drinkwater or Bevilacqua from Melbourne Coffee Roasting Company. Buonasera.
Yes. Good day to you, Brandon. Always a good contributor to the show. And, of course, we should mention to everyone, if you want to contribute, you can do that via the YouTube channel, the Jumper Punch YouTube channel, or obviously on our Facebook page, Blue Sunday. So get to it. We'd love to know what you think.
Everyone can subscribe, like, share, or become a member of the Jumper Punch, and just go to the YouTube. And as I said, and as Vince just said, please contribute, putting your comments, and we'll read them out, and we'll see what we can do here. So, all right. Listen, I'm a little bit, because I don't really host this show, so I'm going to do the best I can. But Vince,
I'm sure you'll do a great job, Rocco. I'm sure you'll do a great job, and even if you're a little bit rusty, it's all right. I think most of our viewers will forgive you if you get a couple of things wrong here and there. Don't worry, I'm used to Joe getting them wrong on a weekly basis. So
that's right. What about this?
It won't be anything unusual.
Extra snuggets, everyone get down to
Snits down at Northlands.
In Northlands, and get those nuggets, mate. I'm telling you, they're like little schnitzels, man. I guarantee everyone can get down there and go and see them, and definitely do that. So, all right. Where we're going to start? Let's go.
Big weekend in football, isn't it? It's been a huge weekend. We've even had another draw, which really makes things interesting for us and for Richmond. Seeing we thought we were the only two teams going to have an uneven number against our name in terms of points on the ladder, but now that Sydney and Geelong have had a draw, that really shakes it up a bit in the race for a final 8 spot. So we'll go through the results if you like, Rob.
Yeah, definitely. That draw is definitely going to make it just, if we had any sort of hope of making that 8, it's going to make it just a little bit tougher now. But now we're going to compete against another 3 clubs, and now that percentage might come into play. But anyway, it all started when? Friday.
Way back when, on Thursday night.
Oh, Thursday, you're correct. It started Thursday, and this was the first game. So let's everyone have a look at this. You can read the scores out.
Yep. Brisbane Lions, comprehensive as usual at the Gabba. Richmond never in the hunt. 20 goals, 14, 134. They finally got their kicking boots on and kicked more goals than points, unlike a few other teams that are still struggling in that regard. To Richmond, 7-11-53, an 81-point thrashing.
Yes, that was a bit of a thrashing. It brought Richmond back to earth.
It did. I'm sure you'll be having a few words with Quinn on Forever Rivals on Wednesday night about that one.
There's going to be a few things said because Essendon and Richmond didn't have the best week. They didn't. All right, so that was done and dusted, and then the next night.
The next night was a clash of last year's grand finalists, Sydney and Geelong, this time at Sydney's home ground at the SCG. I don't know about you, Rocco. I watched the whole of this game, and it was riddled with errors and skill errors and poor kicking for goal, especially by the Sydney Swans, was unbelievable, really. 6 goals, 18, and at least a couple more out of bounds on the full that I can remember. 54 to Geelong, 7-12, 54. I think Geelong should consider themselves extremely lucky to walk away from that game, even with a couple of points. I think it actually represents a loss for both sides, that result, but especially Sydney. They should have won that game by a minimum of 6 goals, in my view.
100%, man. That was I watched bits and pieces and actually watched the highlights. So look, a draw's always fascinating, even though most of the game can be rubbish, but then all of a sudden it becomes a great game by the end. Just before,
do you think the game would have been enhanced by extra time? I mean, are you in favour of extra time, or do you like the draw and just leave it at that?
No, I think extra time is the go. I would like extra time. I think a game should have a result by the end of that game. And wouldn't it be fantastic? You have a couple of minutes, whatever you want on each side, and then all of a sudden you have a kickoff from 50. I'm telling you, why not? But
why not? It's good enough for soccer. It's good enough for us, isn't it?
I reckon it'd be fantastic. They already got like video reviews and all that. Why not? Yeah. So just quickly before we keep on going, Joe has written in a message: food poisoning. I'm in hospital.
That's not good.
Joe, no, it wouldn't be good. It wouldn't be good, man. So
well, Joe, we wish you all the best, mate, and
hope you feel better, Joe. So everyone's thinking about
stay away from all that Italian food over there in Thailand.
Yeah. Did you cook again, Joe? Yeah, I reckon that's what's happened. That's what's happened.
I don't think it would have been Italian food that caused the food poisoning. I think it might have been something else. Anyway, the next game, Rocco,
was on Saturday. Game was Adelaide, yeah?
Yes, it was. That's right.
It was.
Over there at the Adelaide Oval. I mean, North Melbourne kept up with them for about a half, but then Adelaide really kicked away and ended up winning by 11 goals, 21-12. 138 to North Melbourne, who seemed to have lost form again after that initial spurt of good play under Brett Ratton. They seem to have fallen away a bit since now. 11 goals, 672. So I dare say that North Melbourne are probably very fortunate that the West Coast Eagles exist, because if it wasn't for how badly they've been going up until today, I think North Melbourne will be in the news a lot more. But that's 13 consecutive defeats for the Kangaroos. That's not a good streak.
And they're like a young side, and that was always going to happen. They always get that little bit of a lift during the year. They get a couple of good wins, but then once it all starts to like pile on top of them, and see now,
they won their first 2 games, if you remember.
Yeah,
they beat the Eagles. They beat the Eagles in round 1, and then they had a fortunate 1-point win over there in the West against Fremantle in round 2. But since then, they haven't been able to get a win. So
I'll tell you what. One thing quickly about Adelaide, mate, they're just quietly doing okay. Adelaide, mate, from where they were a few years ago when they couldn't win a game, and all of a sudden, I mean, they almost beat Collingwood.
Yeah, we saw how they really pushed Collingwood to the limit last week. So I guess it's no surprise.
And then all of a sudden, so good on them, man.
Yeah, no, they're doing well, especially at home, but they've got to start learning to win away from home a bit more.
Yep. All right. So the next game was the Western Bulldogs v Fremantle.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, into the last quarter, Fremantle got a goal that put them in front, and that was the last time they scored a goal. I mean, the Doggies just surged away after that, and I don't know if anyone saw that coming, but it was quite impressive how they ran away from them in the end. 16 goals, 6, nice accurate kicking, 102 to Fremantle, 11-7-73, and their finals chances are, I guess, on the brink, and they play us next week over there in Perth, so they're not going to be easy opposition, that's for sure. They'll be breathing fire next Sunday twilight, just before our show starts.
Yeah, well, that's going to be the big 8-point game, isn't it? As they say,
a little bit
next week. 100% all right. Yep. So, we're just a few comments here. All right. So we'll go on to the next game. Let's go on to the next game, which was, let me see.
Bit of an anticlimax. The next game. I think a lot of people expected the Gold Coast Suns to do a lot better than this against Collingwood. They've shown some good form over there, especially. They thrashed Hawthorne last week, but vastly different opposition this week. And Collingwood just absolutely showed their class. The game was over pretty much at halftime. And in the end, Collingwood 18 goals, 12, 120, coasting to the line by 78 points over the Gold Coast Suns, who kicked only 5 goals, 12, 42. And their chances of making the finals are also hanging in the balance at the moment.
Yeah, like let's anyway, I don't want to talk about Collingwood anymore. Let's just history.
Well, you got to head it to them. They're playing very well.
yes, at the moment, but let's hope that the misery starts very soon for them.
Well,
so,
they get a bit nervous around the month of September. They start getting a bit nervous. And then there's one game last night.
To lose, unfortunately, yeah, I think you're right, but there's always hope there in the finals. Exactly right.
And there was one game last night that I actually went to.
And let's have a look at that one.
With my lovely Tanya, who was experiencing each end of the emotional spectrum. First, it was ecstasy with about a minute and a half to go when Essendon kicked their third goal in about 4 minutes to take the lead. And then experienced just as much in terms of agony when Dan Houston kicked that goal after the siren from about 55 metres out with a wet, heavy ball in the rain. And the ball just managed to cross the line before the Essendon hands could touch it. So in the end, Port Adelaide coast along to their 13th win of the season out of 15 games. It's unbelievable, isn't it, eh? 11-12, 78 to Essendon, 10-14, 74. Great game of football, I've got to say. As a neutral spectator, I really thoroughly enjoyed that game.
Yes, Houston, we have a problem.
We didn't have a problem after you kicked that.
I think we have a problem, mate, because that was a beautiful mate. What a kick, man, I'm telling you.
Rocco, the way that ball, if you ever look at that replay of him kicking that goal, it reminded me so much. It was almost exactly the same position, and it had the same sort of right to left curve on the ball that Lance Whitnell kicked that goal. Remember in the 1999 preliminary final when we won by a point over Essendon? Yep. Same team, same sort of result. So Essendon supporters don't like it when opposition players kick from that angle. That's for sure.
Well, they should have manned up a bit better. Let's be serious, man. They should have manned up a little bit better, and they probably thought from 50 they're not kicking this goal. But mate, that was I'm telling you.
I think the decision from Nick Martin to kick that ball up in the air and towards the 50-metre line was a bit questionable. I think he probably should have just tried to tie the ball up there in the back pocket. But you do an indiscriminate kick like that, and that's the sort of thing that can result. But anyway.
Anyway, then we have another
good win to Port Adelaide.
Yeah, that was a good win. As I said, what is it, like 13 in a row, 12 in a row, whatever they've got now?
12 in a row, 13th in total, yeah.
Yeah, all right. So next one was today. Have a look at this one. This is a big win.
Well, this is probably the upset if you wanted to see an upset. This is the one a lot of people thought could be an upset because Melbourne have not been travelling all that well. And as you can see there on the scoreline, they only kicked 5 goals for the day. I know it was wet and slippery conditions there at Alice Springs today. And who knows, would the result have been any different if it was at the MCG? Maybe, maybe not. But they often sell these games to the Northern Territory. So in order to make money, sometimes they sacrifice a win. 5 goals, 15-45, pipped on the post by Josh Kelly's GWS 7-5-47, and I mention him because he's the one that kicked a monster 65-metre punt kick that went sailing right through the goals with about a minute to go. And it was a fantastic kick that got them back the lead and ended up winning the game by 2 points.
That was a mate. What a kick, man! I'm telling you.
Melbourne seems. I don't know. They had something. They had something like 70. Well, I can't remember exactly how many inside 50s. It might have been 78 inside 50s, and they only kicked 5 goals. I mean, that's just if that's not telling you got a massive problem in your forward line. Well, I don't know what will tell you that because In recent times, they've had scores like, 8-18, 8-16, 5-14 today or 5-15 today. Not good enough.
No,
They've got a big problem in the forward line.
All right, so then we had one more game before we go to ours, and that just finished just before we started. So let's have a look at this one here. There you go. Look at this one.
Oh, I tell you what, they were very fortunate here, St Kilda. The West Coast Eagles were in this game right up to their eyeballs. Just failed in the end to get over the line. St Kilda kicking 12 goals, 13.85, and the Eagles kicked also 12 goals, but only 5 behind 77. So they lost the game by 8 points, but I think they can walk off the ground tonight with their heads held very high. That was a great effort after being, smashed, annihilated by 171 points last week. So that was a great way to respond, and I'm sure Adam Simpson would have been heartened by that performance today. I'm not sure how Ross Lyon would be feeling. Probably relieved more than anything else. But
I think you just relieve, you take it, and you move on.
St Kilda has also probably shown themselves in recent weeks to be a bit vulnerable too. I think they've lost a bit of form in the last month or so.
The lucky Saints. Yeah, they were a bit lucky, but you know what? Sometimes you just got to win. Like West Coast are always going to come back sooner or later, If it wasn't against St Kilda, it was going to be against us. It was going to be against somebody, So that's it.
Yeah.
All right. That's beautiful. All right. So then all we got left is our game. So do we bring on Brownie now?
We can. Well, firstly, we've got to go to the ladder. If
you want to go to the ladder,
mate, have you got the ladder there, or do you want me to just go through it?
I've got the ladder, so I quickly put it up because it was the last minute. But here it is, and here it is. So we've got to.
Okay, you're going to put them up like that, are we? I thought we normally do.
Well, that's exactly how we're going to put it up because I'm not changing it. But there you go. There's the ladder.
That's all right. We'll quickly go through it. What we see there is Collingwood and Port Adelaide separated only on percentage in the top 2 positions. It's their top 2 positions to lose at this stage. They're 2 games clear of Brisbane, who are a further 2 games clear of 3 teams, being Melbourne, St Kilda and the Western Bulldogs, all on 9 wins and 6 losses. Then there's another game to Adelaide and Essendon, both on 32 points, and they're both in the 8. That they're half a game clear of Geelong in 9th after that draw with the Sydney Swans. That's how it's affected Geelong. That if they had won that game, Geelong, they would have even been in the 8, and Essendon would have dropped out. But as it turns out, Essendon's half a game clear of them. So Geelong on 30. GWS with that win today go up to 10th position now, ahead of Fremantle and the Gold Coast, also on 28 points. A further half a game to Sydney, Carlton and Richmond, all on 26 points. That's 7.5 wins each. And they're in 13th, 14th and 15th positions respectively, separated only on percentage. And then, of course, we finish with Hawthorne on 4 wins, North Melbourne on 2 wins, and West Coast Eagles still with only the 1 win in 18th position.
There you go, mate.
There you go. Interesting. So we technically still have a mathematical chance of making it, Rocco. Whether we do end up making it or not, who knows? But it's a lot closer than you probably think now because a lot of teams have been losing around that 8. The teams just in or just outside the 8, a lot of them are having losses. It's keeping us in it.
100%. Look, there's still a chance. I said this last week. At least we've still got a chance. That's the main thing. So when you go into a game, there's still a chance. That's all.
Still got something to fight for. Still got something to win for.
Imagine there was no chance.
Oh,
imagine
you
were like, you go to each game. Like today already felt a little bit down. We won. It was all good. But, like there's always a chance. But listen, we're here to talk about one game and one game only. You're not right?
Yep.
And we're here. Let's hear from the man himself. We're going to get him on. Yeah, of course we are. Here we go. We're going to get him on. And here he comes, like with the magic of TV. Here he is, Brownie. How are you, Brownie?
Good evening, Rocco. Good evening, Vince. We've got the boss on board tonight, have we?
We have got the boss on board, mate. I'll tell you what. We better be on our best behaviour, otherwise he won't pay us our exorbitant salaries for being on tonight.
Well, didn't we sign another 7-year contract that runs out in 30?
I don't know about yours,
ahead.
Brownie, but mine comes into effect in 2 years from now when my current contract finishes.
Mate, we signed Brownie for 10 years. I don't know how that's going to work out. But
I don't know where we're going to get the money from, Rocco, but,
I might hand it back because I'd be a hypocrite. I'm not a big fan of long-term contracts. I saw the comments about Joe. I hope you're feeling better soon, Joe. Get better. And I hear that food poisoning over there can really knock you about.
Yeah, 100%.
Well, Rock, let's go to our game, eh?
Lou asked where's Bangkok Joe and that. So Bangkok Joe got sick today. Bangkok Joe had to go to hospital. The hospitals are all good in Bangkok. Don't worry, he won't leave there without one of his internal bloody organs or anything. It's all good there. No, he's good. He'll be back bigger and stronger next week. Me, like Lewis Young, have come in last minute, and I'm going to take on the ruck, and we're going to see how we go. All right, so we're here for one game, and let's see if I can find it. Oh, here we go. We're going to have a look at this one. Let's have a look at this. Read out the score, Vince.
Well, of course, as I said earlier, it was an even 10 goals, the difference by the end. Carlton, 17 goals, 10, 112. Always looked the winners after the first quarter. And Hawthorne ended up with 7 goals, 10, 52. If you look at the quarter-by-quarter scores, Carlton kicked 3 goals, 4 to 3 points in the first quarter. Kicked a further 5 goals, 3 to only 2 points in the second quarter. So it was 55-5 at half-time, and the game was over. 50 points the difference. Hawthorne hadn't even scored a goal. But to their credit, they came out after half-time and showed something. I think they kicked the first 3 goals of the third quarter before we responded. And then in the end, Hawthorne outscored us by 2 goals in the quarter. So they scored 5 goals, 3, and we kicked 3 goals, 3. But then in the last, we responded to that, and I'm sure Michael Voss would have told them that wasn't good enough that third quarter. So we kicked 6 goals even, no points, to 2 goals, 2 in the last quarter, running out 60-point victors in the end. So a comprehensive win. I'm sure most Carlton supporters would have just been kicking back and just enjoying the view, watching the game, and watching a side who does more turnovers than what we do.
I think Lana says it perfectly. Well,
that's right. But I seriously, I think we turned over the ball a lot, but Hawthorne just turned it over one heck of a lot more. And I think that's the reason why we won so comprehensively, because neither side seemed to want to keep the ball. They were hell bent on turning it over at every possible opportunity. That's how I saw it.
Interestingly enough, I thought our first half was one that was probably something that I've been looking for quite a while, and that was that we were able to lock the ball into our forward 50. We didn't let it out. We had numbers around the ball. Our stoppages were very good. We were getting smashed in the middle, although Lewis and Jack did an admirable job, but they didn't really win too many of the tap-outs.
No, that's right.
Our midfielders were smart enough to shark what was coming their way. And the other pleasing part about it was our backs were actually playing in front for a change rather than from behind. And we were able to get turnovers pretty much off the half-back line to then be able to create our forward thrusts.
Yep.
100%. Joe, it was pretty good to sit back and just enjoy a win for 4 quarters. And, it was about 3 quarters. But, he's absolutely right there. Oh, can we trade Joe for Zach? Yeah, we can trade Joe. Don't worry, we'll be looking at all trades at the end of the year. Yeah.
Interesting. One thing that probably did come out of the game for mine was that the 2 big forwards only contributed 5 goals of the 17. Now, that's a really important point to consider. That means our midfielders and our small forwards were actually in the game and creating. So from that point of view, that's really, really encouraging. So that's a real positive. I thought our lesser known backs, I I thought they did really, really well. There was a couple of times where they created opportunities by being able to attack the ball, come off their men, something that they hadn't been doing for a number of weeks. They were too hesitant. They've been playing safely, as we all know. And as a result of that, we were able to get some good purchase. One of the things that we did do, though, was we actually created meterage throughout the game. So we actually took the meters away from the Hawthorne.
Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
Have we got any stats up at all by chance, Rocco? Have we got anything there?
Yeah, I'm going to have to apologise. That's one thing I didn't get. But if we
right, okay.
If you want to look them up, I didn't get the stats up. No,
I can quickly go through some of the more important
stats.
Ones. Well, the ones that are probably the most telling, in terms of the ones that really sort of create quite a difference between the two teams. I guess disposals, we had 405 to 348, so that's quite a bit more than them in terms of how much of the ball we had. Free kicks, we had the better end of the umpire today. 21 free kicks to Carlton to 12 for Hawthorne, so we can't complain about the umpires.
First of the ball. That's what happened.
Contested possessions, 144 to 125 in our favour. Uncontested possessions, 249 to 217. So we had a lot more of the ball, whether it was contested or uncontested.
Tackles.
Marks,
tackles.
Marks were 107 to 84. Contested 12 to 6 in our favour. Marks inside 50, 20 to us, 8 to Hawthorne. I thought that was huge.
Huge.
Hit-outs were in Hawthorne's favour, 61 to 27. But when you look at clearances, we actually had 39 clearances to 34. So we were good at reading the play off the ruckman. They had more clangers than us, 60 to 51. In fact, some of their disposal today just made me shake my head at times. They were kicking it straight to our players on that many occasions. It wasn't funny. Tackles, 80.
Looked like Carlton of old, didn't it?
Yeah.
Or Carlton a few weeks ago, just start kicking it straight to the opposition. It reminded me of us only 3 or 4 weeks ago when we were playing Collingwood and the likes of that. Yeah,
exactly. And tackles, we had 87 to their 80, so that was fairly even. Tackles inside 50, they beat us 15 to 12, but I guess the ball was in our 50 a lot more than they had theirs. They had the ball in theirs. We had 54 inside 50s to 48, and our inside 50 efficiency was a lot better at 50%, 27 shots from 54 entries, whereas they only had 17 shots from their 48 entries. So in the end, shooting accuracy was a lot better from us, 63% to 41. They scored only 7 goals from their 17 shots, and we scored 17 goals from our 27 shots. So I think they're the main differences between the two sides.
The main things there were when you're looking at the game, I mean, the stats were good, everything you called out, but it was tackling. Tackling was enormous, man. They were, again, for the second week in a row, they were 2-3 gang tackling, you know what I mean? They were following up, but that's the main thing. Just quickly, before you go up, Charlie Gurno was subbed out at the end. It wasn't an injury. As far as we know, it was just a tactical sub. They just got him out and they put Hewitt on. So there was nothing wrong with Charlie.
Interesting, guys. One of the ones that probably for mine, and it's something that you don't get a statistic for, but when you're actually entering inside 50, you're kicking it to an advantage of a player that's actually on the move or is creative. Now there was one time where I think Charlie had it at centre half forward, and he actually created an opportunity with a player running at full pace into the forward line, and he was able to land it between 2 Hawthorne defenders and actually took the mark. I'm not sure who took the mark. Now, he went back and kicked the goal, but I think it might have been Chera or something like that. It doesn't matter. But the point is that
I think it was Chera.
That particular statistic for me means that you're actually, instead of just bombing it in long and hoping to Christ that someone's going to make a contest of it, we were actually kicking it to an advantage of our forwards or our midfields coming forward. So that was really important, I thought.
100%. The way they were going forward into their forward 50, they actually slowed it down half a second, took their time, and there was separation. There was a couple of times when McKay was leading out, and then they found Cunningham in the corner. You know what I mean? They weren't just booting it to McKay. They waited, and there was a lot of separation between Gurno and McKay, I noticed today. Gurno played a lot more up the ground, I noticed, and McKay stayed back. So that was good. And the other thing I'm going to mention is I did see a comment here which I liked, but it was anyway, Al Backman. I like now Saad, Boyd, and Chincotta and Kemp. The energy and the way they're playing off that back line, I think has changed the whole dynamic of the game now for some reason. Like they're taking it on. They've got a bit of pace. So I thought those three are really, really been important for us in the last couple of weeks.
I thought Boyd's game today was admirable. He was actually, not only did he create a contest, but he also he nullified the player that he was on, but he was also having what I believe is important in the back line, which is tackles, and creating an opportunity for somebody else. The point you made before, Rocco, was correct. When there was, it looked like Hawthorne were out on a couple of occasions. It might have been a missed kick. It mightn't have hit the target or whatever. But the pressure that we were able to put on them by actually hunting in twos and threes was enough for them to create a turnover. And even if they did get a stoppage, particularly more so around perhaps centre or wing or between wing and centre half forward, it was allowing our guys to reset, and particularly more our backs. And the other thing that was interesting, as I made comment before, our backs were actually being able to have the confidence to come off their men and create where, one of our guys might have been caught out of position, but someone else was there and creative. Now, that's one thing that I know you don't like this, Rocco, but that's one thing that Collingwood backs actually do, is that they'll come off their men and actually support one another, particularly in a contest. It just means that they overlap one another, particularly more so in defence. And I think that was actually, you could see signs of that today with some of our players being able to do that.
Yeah. And look, I agree with you exactly. It's exactly like Collingwood. And I think that comes with a little bit of confidence, doesn't it, Brownie? Like in the last 2 weeks, they're playing with a little bit of confidence. They're running forward. They seem to have confidence within each other. And that's where they come off their men, try to take on the game, you know what I mean? Hit that player that's in the middle.
Well, the one thing that I thought was really important, if you remember, Cripps came out of the middle and he looked like he was going to bust the line open. It was in that last quarter, right?
And he
got caught. And there was a counter-attack, and they actually scored from it. But the important thing was, when we went back into the middle, we were able to then put pressure back on them by being able to thrust the ball forward to our forwards again. Now, in the past, what we would do is probably drop our heads and go, "Oh shit," and then everyone goes back into their shell. Well, that didn't happen today. If there was something that went against us, we were able to be positive and then come back and make a contest of the next opportunity. So I thought that was just indicative, and I thought that was really important to see that the Carlton players were able to put the pressure back on Hawthorne again by creating another opportunity.
Now, just quickly, do you think there's definitely been some sort of instructive change in the way they play, because they're just moving the ball a little bit quicker? But the other thing I noticed was there's a lot of changes during the game. So, for example, I saw Lewis Young start in the forward line at one stage. You know what I mean? Cribs started in the forward line. They had people like Fogarty. We forget about Fogarty. He's been good too. He started in the middle. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So I've noticed that there's some changes going on during the game. And you said this a couple of weeks ago, Brownie, where where we need to do those changes mid-game and get the opposition thinking. Get them thinking, changing the game around, you know what I mean? And I've noticed they've actually done that. I don't know if they're listening to you lately or what's going on, but they definitely, there's some changes during the game, which I think are a huge difference to the way we're playing at the moment.
I thought some of the ins were reasonably well. I thought Newman's game was admirable. I thought he put a reasonable game in. They played Doherty off a wing, which I thought was interesting.
Yes, they put Doherty on the wing at times. You're exactly right. Yep.
And what happened was that they pushed Cripps up forward. Harry Mackay, and as you two guys know, I've been a massive critic of Mackay's performance. I always said that he was a one-trick pony. Well, I'll admit it. He made me eat my words today. I thought his game was really good. I thought his attack at the ball, I thought his ground play, which is something I've been critical of, was very good. Even he created at one stage there. He went for a contest. The ball was touched and the ball spilt free. He even tackled while he was sitting on the ground, and I thought, wow, that's something that he hadn't been doing before. He would have dropped it and just gone, oh, well, bad luck, I'll get the next one or something like that. But what they did was create and the other thing that was interesting too, I don't know whether you noticed or not, but today was probably the first time that we actually had a hand in possessions with the opposition. So in other words, if they thought that they looked like they were getting a clean possession, we just had that little hand in there, or there was a little toe poke or something like that was able to just to clear the ball out on occasions. And I thought that was really, really important.
Yep.
100%. What about
you mentioned
I was just going to say just quickly, what do you reckon? You know this bloke well, or both of you do. Wonder if Parko had a word to Vossi pre-game about throwing players around, because they did have the big they had some sort of a get-together, didn't they?
Well, on Friday, we had the David Parkin tribute luncheon, and, Vossi was there, I can tell you, because I was there. And, who knows? Maybe they did have some words. Whether they had some words about the team or the game plan, I'm not sure. But, I think you make a few good points there, Rocco. There have been some changes made that have kept the opposition guessing a bit more, and we're not quite as predictable as we once were. Because in the first 14 rounds or 13 rounds, I think, most coaches would have known exactly what to do to combat our team. And really, it came down to, if you could keep our two key position forwards quiet, well, you're pretty much going to defeat us, because none of our midfielders are kicking goals and none of our small forwards were kicking bags of goals either. So, you keep Charlie and Harry quiet and you've pretty much got Carlton beaten. But now, as Brownie pointed out today, 17 goals, of which, 12 of them were kicked by players other than Charlie and Harry. So that does keep the opposition guessing a lot more, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely.
What do you think about forward line? Looks a little bit different. You've taken out Motlop, you've taken out Durden, and now Martin's doing what?
Martin's been very good the last couple of weeks.
He was good today. He was good. So
kicked 3 goals.
I've got a little question mark about Martin, and I spoke to Rocco about it before, Vince. I don't know whether you noticed or not, but when he came off the ground, he went straight down into the rooms, and he actually came back on the ground with a bandage on his calf muscle. And
it's clearly a problem for him. Clearly,
yeah. So whether they gave him a jab or something like that, and then he came back out and still was able to contribute, but there was a couple of little instances where Martin was involved in a couple of packages of play. I don't know whether you recall it or not, but there was a smother on the on the half forward flank, which was they looked like Hawthorne was going to get out, and he was able to smother it. Now that's only a little thing, but it's something that in the supporter's mind says to them, well, hang on for a minute. This bloke is worth keeping in the side, because if he can put that forward pressure on, all it does is that it creates a stoppage at that part of the ground, which then helps our backs to then set up behind the play. The other important point I thought today was the fact that we actually created doubt in the mind of our opposition players, particularly coming out of the back line, because we were zoning up and actually guarding space rather than being allowing them to get out with clear possessions. And if they did get out with clear possessions, what we were doing was we were trying to create a doubt in their mind so that they would turn the ball over. In fact, if you look at some of their entries, they were just bombing it in long like we were earlier in the year. And all that did was just allow our backs to set up back there and be able to create. Now, I thought Wiedering's game was quite admirable today. In fact, I didn't mind him actually getting reported. Just maybe, some of the forwards might actually take some notice of him now rather than stuff him. He's only a pussy. Who cares? Well, maybe he might be starting to sow some shit there. So I think whilst I still have a question mark over the fact that he's our general, I think that what it has done is that it's shown our backs, particularly our younger players, that they can mix it with the best if they need to, and then be able to support one another, particularly more so in tight situations, rather than what we were doing before, which was just hanging back, going, "Oh, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have a crack because I might stuff it up, and it means that bloody, I look like a dickhead." So I just thought that was really important in our game setup today.
Yeah,
you mentioned our defence. You mentioned that you like our defence with Kemp in there and with Boyd today, Chincotta and Sard. I agree with you. I think they've added a nice chemistry to that back line. What did you think of the two taller players? I mean, you've talked about Wiedering, so I guess you've answered that one. But what about McGovern? How did you rate his game today?
I would say that McGovern's game was better than what it has been in previous weeks. There was a couple of bloopers. There was he turned it over from a kick in and stuff like that, which made him look like a dickhead. But at the end of the day, right, at least he was trying to get something creative moving. I thought his contesting work today was stronger than what it had been in previous weeks. Do I change my mind on him? Not really. Isn't it interesting when sides start to put scoreboard pressure on other sides and they're able to control a game, it brings other players in that have been down, which means that then they start to contribute to the game. I just wonder whether if the score had been reversed as to whether McGovern's game would have been as admirable as perhaps what it was today. How would I rate him? I'd rate him at 55% for the game.
So you're sort of suggesting that he might be a bit of a downhill skier? That when things are going well, he tends to play better, and when we're under pressure and all of a sudden, we're behind on the scoreboard and we're struggling, all of a sudden he doesn't step up and show that sort of, that leadership.
Yeah, definitely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Okay.
100%.
And I just think that, and I know that they were actually with Newman. He was. Now, who did he pick up?
He was on Bruce. I think he was on Bruce, wasn't
he? Yeah, that's right. He was on Bruce. So as you know, Newman, we were a rat for him earlier in the season because he had he had Toby Green. He was on. I can't remember just off the top of my head, but it doesn't matter.
Was it Dusty Martin against Richmond?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
It might have been, but Newman's had some of the big roles on dangerous players, and actually it wasn't. It was it Charlie?
Yes,
from Brisbane.
Charlie Cameron.
It was Cameron.
Right. Yeah. So I think Newman is our back line does look stronger with Newman in the back half. And Boyd, I had a question mark over Boyd for a starter, but now he's just starting to find his legs. And he, even if he couldn't take the ball cleanly, he was creating an opportunity by making a contest of it. And there was a couple of times he actually floated across the front of a pack when he knew that people were bearing down on him. And I thought that was really important. He only had a hand in it, but it was enough just to create that doubt in the mind of the Hawthorne forward.
I like the way he disposes of it.
Yeah, no, he was really good. He was good today.
Look, Cincotta wasn't a great today, but he was at least took his player out of the game. And on the couple of occasions when he did get possessions, he was able to, and he's always looking to move it forward, either by foot or hand. So, I don't mind that. As I said 2 weeks ago or a week ago, let's have a crack. Let's take it on. What have we got to bloody lose? We might even find ourselves in the bloody 8, for Christ's sake.
Well, I think that's their mentality. I think they've actually, in the last few weeks, it's almost that we've got nothing to lose kind of attitude, and they've gone forward and they're playing a lot better because they look better when they're moving the ball quickly. What about these two blokes? Well, we talked a bit about Fogarty, but what about Cunningham too?
I was going
to say Cunningham.
Yeah, I thought he was really good in the first quarter and first half, actually. He hit the scoreboard.
In the right position too.
Well, I thought his work off the pack was good, and he hit the scoreboard for a couple as well. And I think up until half time, he might have had nearly 17 or 18 possessions, I think, from memory, Cunningham. So he was in, and look,
he had 16 possessions for the game and 2 goals to half time.
Right. So he does create that other opportunity in the forward line and both through the midfield. So you've actually got that rotation that can come through as a small forward and in and around the stoppages in the middle.
I think he's added a bit of class to our forward line, Cunningham, and I don't mind what Fogarty's brought to the table in the last couple of weeks as well. They'll only get better with more time and more experience and more games under their belt. I'm sure of that. Can I ask you what you think the logic could have been for playing Ed Gurno today? Because I don't think he had a tagging job on anybody. So I'm just wondering, what's the thinking behind that? I mean, I don't think he's going to be part of your next premiership or part of the future in the long term, not even in the medium term. So what is the purpose? What is the purpose of that instead of playing guys like Jackson Binns and blooding him or rewarding Paddy Dow for the consistency that he shows or other players like them?
No, I wouldn't actually have Ed, as much as he's been a pretty good warrior for the joint. I would actually make him the honorary captain for the twos and let him run out the rest of the season in the VFL and bring. Look, we've got the opportunity now to actually be able to bring these kids like Binns and Dow and these guys through. We did the list last week, and some of those players I think are afforded an opportunity, particularly in games moving forward. And let's face it, one player like Binns isn't going to win or lose you the game. All that does is it creates some run for him, particularly at the higher level, and then you'll be able to make an assessment based on and around what he can bring to the table. And we know what Ed can do. We've seen it over the years, but now it's time to bring the other kids through so that we can do it. Now, having said that, I've got to eat my words about Jack. I mean, Jack Silvani's game today I thought was serviceable. I thought he competed really well. I thought he presented well. His tackling was exceptional, and there was some times in the forward line he was able to lock it in purely and simply because of having a decent crack. Now the commentary in and around that was probably flattering to Jack, and some of the commentators were saying, well, welcome back, Jack, and Jack's back by popular demand and all of this sort of thing. But, seriously, whilst he contributed, and like Ed Gurno, I don't think Silvani's going to be the type of bloke that's going to win you a premiership.
Yeah, well, I like Sauce. I like the energy that he brings. Last week on our show, someone did mention that he brings that energy and that commitment, and shouldn't that just be standard? Shouldn't you just bring that every week? You know what I mean? So we shouldn't be like judging him on that. But I think he did well today. I think if they give Sauce a clear role, and I still don't know what that role is, I think he'd be a lot better for it. So he did well today.
Do you know the one role they've never given him? You know the one role they've never given him that I reckon they ought to give him a try in? Playing defence. Yeah, they've just never tried him down there.
But it's always, let's try everyone in the back line. Let's try everyone in the back line. I don't think we need another person in the back line, But anyway, he was good today. He was good today.
Interesting enough, what was said today about De Koning and Pitnet, De Koning being a late withdrawal because of the knee injury, and Pitnet obviously didn't come up. But I thought that forced Carlton into making some unconventional moves, which then created better opportunity through our mids and into our forward line. So I thought that was really, really good. Interestingly enough, though, I would have liked to have seen that sort of approach against someone like an Essendon or some of the early games where we got smashed around. I thought that Adelaide, for instance, right? Could we have got away with that with Adelaide when they gave us a lesson over there? Maybe, maybe not. What it has done, though, is that it's shown our match committee and obviously our coaching staff that there is some opportunity by bringing personnel in and being able to switch them around so that they can actually show what they've got.
So here's a question. It's great to see the effort, which last 2 weeks seems to be the effort. And then I think it's a question, what's changed? What's changed in the last 2 weeks? Why? I know, and again, everyone's got to realise it is Gold Coast and Hawthorne we've played. Like, let's all be realistic here, right?
Absolutely.
But you can only beat who you can beat. But what has changed? To me, again, it's been we've been willing to make those changes on the ground, put people in different positions, and I think it's either been an instruction or something to say, let's move the ball a bit quicker and let's go. Let's go for it, lower your eyes. So I think that's been the instruction, and it seems to be working.
I think what it's done is that it's broken the shackles a little bit for the mids and small forwards to start creating rather than let's just hope and just wait for something to happen. Let's make it happen rather than wait for it to happen. It's amazing what scoreboard pressure does. It's amazing what opportunities would be created. And realistically, it is a simple game when you think about it. If you create and control the centre of the ground, it's amazing how much opportunity will open up for you. And that's in the past weeks when we've been kicked around, we haven't been able to do that. We've always been shut down and choked so that we couldn't do that. And look, we've still only got, 9 games to go, thereabouts, 10 games to go in the season.
8, actually.
8, right. Well, we've got plenty of opportunity. We've got plenty of opportunity to bring some of the kids through. Maybe someone like Ed will be probably tapped on the shoulder at the end of the year. McGovern might be told to go and seek somewhere else.
100%.
These types of things could happen. Even Doherty might be bloody well told, well, it's time for you to move on. Who knows? But we've got to actually start to rebuild now rather than wait we'll wait and see what happens by the end of the season. This big review that's going to come up at the end of the season. Is that review going to be an opportunity to have other personnel within the organisation? Let's not get too carried away. We've had a couple of wins with sides that are just barely above us. So let's not just think that, all is fixed now, because that could change in a heartbeat. In the next, we've got Collingwood the last game of the season. Now, the point that I was going to make before was that you've got two sides that are obviously on top of the ladder and enjoying the success that they are, which is Port Adelaide and obviously Collingwood.
Yep.
Make no mistake, there is 8 games to go. Now, it only takes 4 or 5 major injuries in those sides, and you will be, those sides will find themselves wanting. Interestingly enough, whilst Collingwood's win over Gold Coast was, the scoreline didn't really, I think it flattered the game, to be honest. I thought Gold Coast just weren't there. Collingwood should have won by 200 points, not the amount that they won by. That last kick of Port Adelaide, that could have gone either way as well. So at the end of the day, it's who's healthy, and this is now the business end of the season we're coming up to. Who's healthy, who's in form, whether sides are going to be prepared to be bold, and whether sides are going to be prepared to try some things. You made a point before, Vince, about Melbourne's forward line. You said that they were really struggling to get scoring opportunities because of their forward line not functioning. There was a comment earlier on. I saw one of the comments that one of our viewers put up about the fact that how the hell did Melbourne win a premiership with the forward line that they've got today? Well, it was a vastly different setup back then than what it is today. You had McDonald's in the side, and these types of guys, they can't even get a game now. So, and the other interesting point is too, okay, now that Carlton's won a couple of games, hopefully that's now going to start to help the VFL players to start putting pressure on the players that are in the side to be able to try and break into the side, which means it's going to keep the blokes that are in there honest. And, let's adopt the mentality that you're only as good as your last game, because that's how we've got to be playing for the next, 8 weeks.
Yeah. I also think...
Sorry, go on, Rob.
No, I was just going to say, just quickly, we have got a couple of weapons, right? You can say whatever you want, but Gurno could be the best player, and I am talking about Charlie, not Ed. Gurno could be the best player in the competition at the moment, right? And then you've got Harry, right? They've just got to use them the way they used them today. The first half, Gurno played a lot more up the ground, right? And there was that separation. I don't think this two-pronged big forward is working. I think the way they separate, go up the ground, and they always look better when Gurno's kicking the Harry or Harry's kicking the Gurno, and you've got those mids and smalls running around. And I think if they just keep using it the way they did today, I think all of a sudden we can be dangerous, because seriously, there's not many players like Harry and Gurno. We've just got to use them properly.
Well, have a look what happened today with Gurno sitting down in the last quarter. That means that Harry was basically our only tall forward, if you want to call it that, and he was being creative up the ground, which meant that opened it up for opportunity in the forward line for our small and medium-sized forwards to actually go through, and as well as our midfield. And even with Harry sitting down, you said it before, Vince, we kicked 6 goals in the last quarter. That indicates to me that sometimes being so reliant on them is not such a good thing. And I've said before on occasions, why don't you try something different? Sit Harry down for the first quarter of a game, or actually, use that to open things up a bit so that you're actually able to put some doubt in the mind of your opposition.
Or throw the tags like McRae did with Collingwood last week when he put both Dacos boys on the interchange bench to start the game.
100%.
I mean, that's what you've got to do, just to sometimes throw the opposition into chaos. I was interested, more than anything today, I was interested to see whether after a good win against the Gold Coast and after a bye round last week, whether we were going to come back and basically take off, where we left off, or whether we were going to go back into our shells or back into bad habits. And I was quite impressed with our first half. I thought we basically played in very similar fashion. The gang tackling, the hunt for the ball. I thought we totally outplayed our opposition in the first half when the game was there to be won today, and it was most impressive. I mean, when was the last time we've had back-to-back matches where in one game we had 9 goals in the second quarter to nothing in one game, and then follow it up the following week and kick 8 goals to nothing for the first half. I mean, they're 3 of the best quarters I think we've played for a long time. Well, and they both happened in the last 2 games. And I know the second half we probably put the cue in the rack a little bit, especially in that third quarter. I think Hawthorne came out and had something to prove. But again, we very quickly nullified what advantage they had in the third quarter within 5 minutes of the last quarter, and went on to have a comprehensive 10-goal win. So, as Rocco said, you can only beat the opposition that's put up against you. Yeah. I recognise that too. I mean, Gold Coast, they're only half a game ahead of us on the ladder, and Hawthorne are, 10 points below us on the ladder. So we shouldn't get overly ahead of ourselves here. But I'll be very interested to see how we go next week when we play Fremantle, who are basically playing for their future. When I say for their future, for their finals chances this year, next week against us.
It'll be interesting, guys, to see what sort of respect we get from Dockers, Fremantle, because probably up until 3 weeks ago we had no respect to the competition. Now we're starting to demand a little bit of respect. So hopefully, and this will be a great opportunity for us as a side to start being creative, and that might just get their attention.
Well, again, if you had a look at their game yesterday against the Doggies, the minute the Doggies really put the pedal to the metal in that last quarter and put the pressure on, the Dockers had no answer. And I think that there's a lesson there for us. If we put them under severe pressure next week, they could just fold up like a deck of cards, and we may very well get our third win in succession next week if we play the game in the similar fashion the way we've played the last 2 weeks.
Interestingly enough, I thought our small forwards looked quicker today than what they had done. Motlop in the twos, and my comments in and around him are that I think he's slow, but I think Martin is a bit quicker, and I think that's a little bit more creative.
Martin's more mature too. I mean, he's probably close to 10 years older than him and a lot more experienced, and I think he's got some silky skills, Jack Martin, and he showed those today again.
I think
if his calf can hold out, because he does have chronic calf injuries. I mean, he's probably lost more games in the last 5 years due to his calf than any other reason. So
I think our midfielders are starting to get a bit smarter too. If you look at there was Chera that moved into space, particularly into the forward line. So that was being creative. As Rocco said earlier on, there was the spread there, and what happened was that it created that opportunity in the middle of the ground, and we were able to work into that. Owie was able to work into it. Chera was able to work into it. So there was opportunities created by having that spread and the guys working harder. And they reckon at Acres at one stage you'd probably, gain something like 500, 600 metres for the game. So
he played very well.
Both ends of the ground. Doherty's game was more of a stoppage game than it was more of attacking, I thought. I don't have a problem with it, but I'm just saying that I think most of his possessions, if you have a look at his heat shield, if you want to call it, where he would
map,
create most of his work. I think you would find it to be between probably halfback and centre, and that was in the stoppage area there and creating there. Whereas I think Akers is probably longer in his approach.
Yeah, 100%. And it's funny how you say we look quicker when we start moving the ball quicker in the centre and start delivering it more direct and finding. We all of a sudden, the small forwards start to look a little bit quicker. So it all starts from the middle. And I just saw this comment, where was it? I think these two guys are having a big month of football, you know, Walsh and Chera. Like Chera's amazed me this year. Like his tackling, it's not just his like his ball gathering and that, it's his tackling, and he's going up forward and now kicking goals. We've been dying for a midfielder to go up and kick goals, and that's exactly what he's doing. Walsh is now being freed up a little bit to do what he has to do. And also, we can't forget about Cripps today. It wasn't a great game, but I thought it was a good game. And he bulled his way through a few packs, which we all like to see. There was that one time he got caught, you know, but apart from that, I thought Walsh played a good game today. He played a good game.
I think
Cripps.
I think that's probably one of the best games I've seen Walsh play. It wasn't so much that he hurt him on the scoreboard. It was the more involvements that he had. For example, there were crucial tackles he laid at crucial times of an attack or a defensive mode. And I thought his disposal was better today than it had been in previous. We were a lot cleaner. We didn't fumble. And when there was the quick release, we used the ball rather than quick release into someone that's in a worse position and threw them under the bus like we have been doing in previous weeks. At least now, they can see that if they use the ball correctly, they can create better opportunities further up the ground.
Can I ask you quickly, Brownie, what did you think of George Hewitt's last quarter, saying he came on for Charlie Curnow? He got 6 hand passes, no kicks. He took a mark and laid 3 tackles. What did you think of his last quarter? And how would you compare that with what Paddy Dow has produced in the last 3 matches coming on in the last quarter, where he's probably had 8 or 9 possessions a quarter?
Yeah, interesting, isn't it? You've got 2 very similar players. One's younger, and I still think that we've got to keep Dow in the side. I question the some of the selection integrity again, and I think whilst, don't forget, the game's pretty well iced by then, it was still 38 points. It was still 38 points of difference at 3/4 time. The game was done.
Oh,
absolutely. Now, if someone comes into that environment and can't pick up some possessions, then you should be running around in the VFL. What do I think of his game?
He just eased into it, I thought. Just eased in.
Yeah.
Hand passes, half a dozen hand passes for the quarter. That was it.
Yeah, well, he's been in and out of the side, hasn't he, all year? So, and
bit of concussion too. He was out for 2 or 3 weeks with concussion. Going back to I think he got it in the Sydney game, and therefore I think he missed the Melbourne game, and then I think the subsequent games after that as well.
Yeah, look, I'll excuse it. There you go. I'll use that as my answer. I'll excuse the game. I think,
but he has been out of form this year compared to last year. There's no question about that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, 100%.
Not as damaging. But then, quite a lot of them have been that, haven't they? Cripps has been like that.
Sure.
And, the only one that really could, and there was a comment before, the only 2 that are really starting to shine is Chera and Walsh. I'd just about back Chera in for the best and fairest for the year, actually, to be honest with you, with about 8 games to go. Walsh is the only one that could be a danger to him. Charlie will take some votes, but Realistically, you couldn't really put anyone else up there at this stage. It's just interesting to see the dynamics now. 3-4 weeks ago, our backs were, blaming each other. Today and against Gold Coast, they were actually, wrapping each other rather than blaming or looking at, whose fault it is or, why someone do something or something like that. So, look, is that going to continue? Maybe against weaker opposition. But then again, we've got West Coast coming up again, and they proved today that on any given day they can give any side a hell of a fright. So it'll be interesting to see how they blend, how the dynamic continues in the back line, and who's going to step up and take the responsibility, like happened today.
Can I just ask both of you guys, after the last couple of matches we've played, can you see any distinct, any distinct game plan that Michael Voss is implementing now, or any change in the game plan from what you previously saw? Are we now starting to see a bit of a trend happening within the way we play? Or is this all just looking good because we're up against inferior opposition and the minute we come up against a really good side, it's all going to probably fall apart again? What are your views on what you've seen in the last couple of games? Do you see any more definition, if you like, to our game plan and how we're playing?
I think our particularly our mids and our small forwards now are starting to be a little bit more creative. I think that's what's happening. I think they're working harder. I was really critical earlier in the year about, particularly more so with centre bounces and around the ground, we weren't hitting the packs hard enough in terms of on the move. I think our players they're getting more opportunities because they are moving a lot quicker than what they were before. I thought some of our crumbing today was better. So clearly the changes that we've made, particularly more so in the forward 50, I think now are starting to have an impact. I think our mid-sized forwards and our small forwards are having more opportunities created by our midfield being able to control the centre of the ground. So I'd say that if anything's changed for mine, it would be the fact that they are having more opportunity through the middle of the ground.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think we're using the corridor a lot more than we were beforehand, aren't we? We seem to be a bit more daring off our back line and transitioning the ball a lot more. When we see opportunities to kick it in towards the middle, we're using that more often than we were before.
And interestingly enough, one of the things that I did see today, and I wasn't at the game, obviously, but one of the things I did see was at least there was what's the word I'm looking for? There was people in the back line actually directing traffic. So in other words, there was this sort of thing occurring. If someone was coming out of our forward line with the ball, someone was pointing up the ground, which meant that I'm coming up to cover him, which means that has to be
addressed over there.
And the other thing that they did do today too, I don't know whether you guys noticed or not, but in the previous past, what was happening was that when we went in to tackle somebody, we were going in hell for leather and not being smart about it. So we were actually using the ground a lot better by corralling.
Creating.
Yeah, corralling them. Yeah,
corralling
them.
Yeah. So what that was
like
doing,
the old wagon trains in the Western movies.
yeah, circle those wagons.
Yeah, exactly.
So they were holding them in rather than letting them out, which meant that it was putting doubt in the mind and it was creating our backs opportunity to cover up the ground. So I thought that was better. I thought the attack on the ball was better as well. So you asked me what's changed. I think that's changed.
What do you think, Rob? Just quickly, you got any views on this?
A good point. Is that the boys? They seem to be running a bit more confident. to me, like there has been, I don't know, being at the game, it does look like there's this instruction, especially the forwards. As I said, that separation, Gurno playing up the ground a little bit more, and there was a little bit more quicker ball movement around the ground. So, and they look like they're wanting to move the ball quicker at every opportunity. You know? And I think that's the important bit.
There was one passage of play which I will highlight, and was Harry, actually. Harry took a ball on the centre wing and he wheeled around, but he put it in low and hard, and that created an opportunity for goal purely and simply because he didn't bang it in long and high. He kept it low and hard and caught the backs out.
I think is that when Sauce marked it?
Yes.
Yeah, he's marked it. That was a good kick. And there was numerous occasions where they went forward and they just held back half a second and then they found the right instead of bombing it into the forward line. You know what I mean? So tell me something, Brownie. Would this be something Vossi's been trying to implement and now maybe, and we
it's
still
just
won't
clicked?
know? Well, not just clicked. I still think there's a long way to go. You know what I mean? Let's be serious here.
It's clicked a lot better. What I'm saying is, it seems to be a lot more.
A little bit of confidence.
A little bit of confidence now
has pushed them forward. All of a sudden, they're slowing down a little bit. They're hitting targets because if you notice today and last week and today, or 2 weeks ago, they're actually kicking around the ground has improved a lot. They're hitting targets, you know what I mean? So when they were only hitting them 45%, now they're hitting them at 60% of the time, which is a huge improvement, you know? Is that confidence?
I think what you do, I mean, Cunningham's come into the side, and he's a good user of the ball. Boyd off halfback is a good user of the ball. I think you'll find that it's a twofold thing. There is a confidence level that's obviously lifted a little bit. There must be the shackles that have broken a little, but also the personnel changes in and around the ground. You're not relying on Cripps to bloody well create things for you like you were before, even though he was in bad form. I mean, Chera then can do what Chera does, which is obviously create opportunities. But then the other lesser known players are able to step up and take some responsibility as well. So I think you'll find that there is a number of things which have probably come together to create this better run and obviously game plan.
I think these newer players like again the Cincotta, the Kemp. Even Boyd, I think they made a huge difference because I don't know. It's like they haven't been Carltonised yet. You know what I mean? Where they're a bit more free. They're a bit more free. They play their game. They've been playing in the VFL and they're playing a little bit more free, and it's opened it up for everybody. I think that's how I see it.
The one that actually played well today is Akers. I mean, he was in the last 2 or 3 weeks, even against Gold Coast, he wasn't brilliant, but I thought today his game was really good, given the fact that he covered some really good ground, both forward and back, and was actually involved with scoring opportunities as well as kicking himself. So I thought that his game today, I thought he bounced back from where he was a couple of weeks ago.
He needed a game like that too, I think, Akers. He'd let it slip a little bit in recent weeks, but I think that was a good return to form today.
And this is true. Like Boyd, Cunners, Martin, Fogarty are better users of the ball. And that's what it looks like at the moment, you know. And Motlop, Fisher, I don't know what's happening with Fisher. Young, you know, he's not the best. Like him not playing in the back line, I think it helped. And Lockie O'Brien, man, like we don't know what's happened to him. But as I said, I think those 4 or 5 players that have come in and made a huge difference and just freed everyone up a little bit, you know.
Interestingly enough, today they mentioned it looks like Fisher's going to West Coast.
Yeah, that's the word. Yeah, so he can join SBS there, and
I'll tell you what. I hope Cunningham keeps going the way he has been the last couple of weeks. I hope he can have an uninterrupted run between now and the end of the year. He'll get another 8 games. That'll be 10 games under his belt. If he can play in the similar fashion to what he's done in the last couple of weeks, I think he can look forward to getting another 12 months to show his wares.
We always had hope on Cunningham. Remember before?
He's always been a classy player.
That Essendon game, he got something like 30 possessions, a couple of goals, whatever it was, and we were thinking and he is. He's classy, but he keeps getting injured. Reminds me a little bit of Gurno.
There's another classy player. Yeah, there's another classy player who needs to do exactly what Cunningham's done, and he's running out of time because he's also a very classy player when he's going. But again, if he doesn't get back in the team and start showing us what he can do at senior level, I dare say he'll probably get the chop, and that's Caleb Marchbank, number 22. He, when he's playing and firing and fit, he can be a very classy player in defence. But geez, he's got to start hurrying up. There's only 8 weeks to go.
Yeah. No,
anyway.
Definitely. What about this comment here? Look at this. Rocco say cincotta with an Italian accent. That's right, people. Everyone say it with me.
That's right.
Cincotta. It's like it's add an H.
And his first name is Alex, but we're going to call him Alessandro Cincotta.
That's
right?
it. Alexander. Yes,
Is that a bit like Northland?
Yeah, that's no, you got to add the S too, mate. Northlands.
No, brownie, cincotta. It's like that dessert, panna cotta.
Oh, panna cotta.
Right. Yeah, so this is cincotta. That's it.
How's the head come out straight?
Come on, Brownie. Let's have the macchiato. That's it.
That's it. I love it.
Antipasto.
Very good. We're going to Italianize him yet, aren't we, Rocco?
You're on the jumper punch, mate. We're very cultural,
We're going to rename him Pietro Marone.
Pietro Marone.
By the way, that's for your
Pietro Marone. That's Peter Brown. I like it. I like it.
That's it. Might introduce him as Pietro Marone next week.
Look, I guess. I guess from mine, the takeaway from today's game is that yes, it was an important win. Yes, it did give the boys a little bit of hope and probably build a little bit of confidence. But they got to start with a 0-0-0 scoreline next week. Seriously, if they get ahead of themselves, then they'll come down with a big thud.
Yeah, 100%. And you know what? Truthfully, I think they will come down with a thud. I don't know if it's next week or the week after. I think this year, let's be serious, you know what I mean? It's going to be a little bit, unfortunately, I don't want to hear this, but it is a little bit of a learning thing for us, you know what I mean? Really, we're almost starting from zero again, and even us saying, this player's doing well, and hopefully, like, we should be fighting for top 4, but now we're talking about, this player's playing well, and we hope that this player's playing well. So look, it's 1 week at a time. I know we say that, Brownie, you know more than anyone when you were playing. It is 1 week at a time, one game at a time, one contest at a time. You know what I mean? That's all you can do, and you can only beat who's in front of you. But if you keep putting that front foot forward, right, and you keep doing it, and I believe that the team just has to go for it, right? Not be worried about making mistakes, right? Just play footy. Let's just play footy, right? Let's just play footy. Play with your mates. I think if we can get back to that, we've got some sort of chance of making the finals, because I've always said it, we're not a bottom 4 list, but at times we play like a bottom 4 side. You know what I mean? So hopefully if we can just play footy, maybe we can get there.
Interestingly enough, I saw something on Facebook today, which I'm not on, by the way, and that is that Collingwood only have one player in the top, what I call the echelon of payment. So, so you've got one player which is, with the huge contract, with the big money, and who
do you reckon that would have been?
It would either have to be more or
Goey, maybe.
No, I don't think the Goey's up there. Now, who did I see?
We're all struggling to think. It wouldn't have been Billy Elliott, would it? It wouldn't have been.
But this is the problem. If
it wouldn't have been Pendlebury. It wouldn't have been Sidebottom. It wouldn't have been either of the two Dacos brothers.
We're struggling to work. Oh, they're probably still on the list. It's probably Grundy.
That's because they're such an even team, Rocco. That's the thing. They're such an even team. And do you know who's got 7 out of the top 100 best paid players in the league? Guess who's got 7 of them? 10. Carlton has. Yeah.
But you know what? That's happened.
Unbelievable.
Right? That's not the team's fault. That's happened, right?
No.
We've got 7 of the top players, whatever. We've just got to forget about that. We just have to forget about that. And we have to play like a team, mate. Don't worry about who's paid more, who's played less. You know what I mean? Like play like mates. Like, how do you do that, Brownie? Like, become mates.
It's a culture that's created by people having a fair income go. That's all it is. I mean, we sat on the jumper punch, some weeks ago, Rocco, me and Alex. Now, both of us were under no illusions whatsoever as to whether you were in or whether you were out of the side. You had to work hard to make sure that you were actually getting a game from week to week. And and I said this earlier on. This is not just something that's it's a privilege to play at Carlton, not entitlement. So you have to have players that are prepared to do it. I said weeks ago, it's not your top 10 players that are going to win your premierships. It's the next 14, 15, 16 players on your list that are going to be the ones that are going to be working the hardest. So they're the ones that are going to create the opportunities for good players to come into it. Now, it's like everything else.
Would the bottom 6 players, like, they bring up the standard also? Like, if the bottom 6 players, like, just give it their all and everyone sees that, does that also help the team? You know what I mean? That bottom 6, never miss a training, but go hard at every contest. You know what I mean? Never give up, get put back in the reserves and give it your all. Does that lift up the whole team also?
Oh, look, what I think it does is puts pressure on the people that are actually playing at the higher level, which means that you've got to perform week in and week out. I mean, Vince has been he's had a real problem with the fact that every week they bring in the same players week in, week out. Even this week, both me and Vince were critical of the selection. One of them turned out okay. The other one, well, we've already commented on that, so we're not going to go into it any further. But this was an opportunity to bring someone like a Binns in or someone to give an opportunity to, rather than just go with the same old formula. So if you drop those players like the Gurnos and these guys back to the reserves, their job is to make sure they go back there and do the job so they can put pressure on the guys that are playing in the senior side. Dow will probably go back now and, well, you sent me the stats from the AFL game, the VFL game, Vince, yesterday. And Paddy Dow was up there amongst the possession winners again.
And Jackson Binns.
And Jackson Binns. So, it is time for them to the club I'm talking about and the selection committee to start to take these kids in as opportunities. Because if you don't, you'll lose them. That's the first thing. And secondly, you won't find out what they're capable of doing.
100%. Make them, give them responsibility, especially these young kids. I reckon they thrive, some of them, on responsibility. So, like Kemp and Chincotta have definitely thrived on giving them that responsibility. Hollands, who's now injured and who knows if he'll come back this year, but he was another one, giving him that responsibility. He took it. Definitely.
How many times have you guys seen over the years and throughout history, the guys that have got to work the hardest seem to get more success rather than the guys that do it easy and make it look like they're world beaters. How many times have you seen players like that? Yes, there's kids out there that struggle to to do what they need to do, but you've got to be creative. You've got to and you made the comment before about perhaps Parkin got into Voss's ear about changing up the side of it and creating some change so that you can throw the opposition out and perhaps organise some opportunities for people that might necessarily get it. And I think we've just got to do that. I mean, we've invested in these kids. Let's bloody well see what they can do.
Yeah, 100%. Yep.
Well, I reckon it's just about time for player voting time. Rocco, what do you think?
Do you want to go player voting time?
Yeah, I think we do that.
Player. So I have got the votes here. So here we go. Let's have a look at this. All right.
Bit of an interesting mix there.
What's that?
Interesting mix there.
Right. I'll kick it off. Firstly, my apologies to people like Wiedering, Chera, and these guys. However, I thought Walsh's work for 4 quarters was really, really good today. I thought it was one of the best games he's played. He didn't hit the scoreboard, but he had involvement. He had tackles. He created opportunity in and around the ball. He was always on the move and looking. His disposal today was very good. I thought he hit targets really well.
Mm-hmm.
The next one is one that I've been extremely critical of, and that is Harry Mackay. His work up the ground today was exceptional. His groundwork was very, very good. He had score involvements. He scored himself, but he also created that opportunity and created that doubt in and around the Hawthorne opposition, particularly more so their backs, because there's no doubt that when Harry is being creative and obviously creating opportunities, the backs are starting to second doubt themselves. So to Harry, and as I said before, and I'll say it again, I was a massive critic of him. I thought he was a one-trick pony, but he made me eat my words today, so I'm first to put my hand up. I thought his work was really good, work rate up the ground and in and around goal. And the last one I gave to Silvani. Now, whilst I've been critical of Jack, I thought his competing in the ruck today was admirable. I thought his rounded ground work was good. I thought his forward 50 tackling and locking down the forward line on occasions was good. Even around the ground, he was creating up the ground. So I thought Silvani's work rate was really good. So Walsh 3, Mackay 2, and Silvani 1.
I like it.
All right.
Vingens.
What's interesting here is that all 3 of us have gone for Harry Mackay 2 votes.
Yeah,
but our 3 votes and 1 vote can be a bit different. Yeah, look, I went for Chera. I thought he was a ball magnet yet again, but he also laid a lot of tackles. I think he had 7 tackles in total. He hit the scoreboard, kicked a couple of important goals when the game was there to be won, and I thought he was our most damaging player on the ground. I probably would have given Harry Mackay 3 votes instead of Chera if he had have kicked straight, because he kicked 2 goals 3. And when he kicked that shot for goal, I think it was in was it in the last quarter? I can't remember now. But that went from 25 metres out directly in front, and he went for around the corner kick, and the Hawthorne defender just stayed in the goal square and caught the ball. I mean, the ball didn't even make the distance. I just thought, come on, Harry, you've just got to stop doing that from 25 metres out directly in front. By all means, look, the following, I think a few minutes later, he got a kick from the boundary line or near the boundary line, and he kicked it through for a goal when he did the around the corner kick. But that's where you should do it, not from directly in front. So he's got to get that out of his game, I think. But I concur with you, Brownie. I thought his work up the ground was excellent, and overall, I think he had a very, very good game. I think he had something like 16 kicks for the game, 19 possessions, took 8 marks and laid 5 tackles as well. So, a very, very solid contribution from Harry today, I thought. He can hold his head up high. And I know that he went off in the last quarter, but I just thought that the game was already iced by that stage. And Charlie Gurno, I gave 1 because when the game was there to be won, he kept presenting, he kept running, he marked the ball, he kicked goals. I think he kicked 3 goals, 2 in the end. And he also took 9 marks in 3 quarters. And I just thought he was a very effective player who had impact whenever he got the ball. So I actually gave him my 1 vote, and apologies to Blake Acres, who I thought could have earned himself a vote. He also kicked the goal as well, Acres, apart from his 22 possessions and 8 tackles. But sometimes his disposal efficiency lets him down, and he often kicks it to the opposition. So I left him out of my votes. But, maybe on another day, Acres might have got a vote. But today, Adam Chera 3, Harry Mackay 2, and Charlie Gurno 1.
I look, Chera, for all the reasons you just said, mate, the bloke's a star this year, stepped up, seriously, leadership material. You can't say much more. He's kicking goals, which is important. Harry Mackay, exactly what everyone just said there. Up the ground, taking marks. And I just gave 1 to Wiedering. I thought he started the game really good. He slowed down a little bit, and he might have come off at the end. I'm not sure. But, I love the way he started it. He started, like, taking those marks, taking them on. So, 1 to Wiedering. And, there you go. They're the votes. They're the votes. So, and and you could have given 1 vote to 10 players. And that's what you want. That's what you want. You want, Newman played a good game. There's Cunningham. There's a handful there.
Even Sard, I thought Sard played a good game today.
Sard, yeah.
Interestingly enough, guys, if we're confused about giving votes, then that means that there's an even spread of bloody activity across the ground, which means that it makes our job harder to come up with votes for players that are outstanding on the game. So, again, I've got apologies to give to some people, but that's what this is. This is subjective, so we see things differently.
Because, as I said, everyone's giving the kind of their decisions, their votes here. So everyone's pretty much there. Boydie, he was another one. He deserved the vote. You know what I mean? Cripps deserved the vote. The way he captained, I think, today. So that's good. It's good to see. It's good to see. All right. What's next? Oh, we got this one next. Brownie?
Of course.
Beautiful kick from Brown. That's a magnificent kick. Look at that. He was inside the centre square when he kicked that for a goal.
Love it.
Guys,
do you remember that?
That was
what happened there? What happened?
Believe it or not, that was actually when I'd kicked one of the goals out at Arctic Park against North Melbourne, and David Dench was in that shot along with myself, and I'd let fly with that. So it was, and I think it was more of a reaction more than anything else after I'd kicked the ball. So, yeah.
If you watch closely, Rocco, he's actually got a cape. He's actually got a cape behind him. And he
Brownie
could
getting
leap tall
higher
buildings.
and higher.
He could leap tall buildings in a single bound.
He's getting higher and higher. Soon he's going to be off the screen, mate.
That's it.
All right.
Yes. So let's go. Let's find it. I'm pretty sure it's here because I put it in here, and we're going to surprise everyone. Here it is.
Yes, I thought Blake Acres' game was particularly more so in the first 2 quarters of the game was exceptional. He was covering some massive ground, both ends of the ground, back and forward. As you said, Vince, he had a goal for himself. He laid 8 tackles, 5 marks, 22 disposals, but his score involvements were really good. And his disposal efficiency was a lot better this week.
You can see there was 73%. He had 6 score involvements and meters gained was 436, So, yeah.
I thought as we were all getting really carried away with young Ollie Hollands at the start of the year, Hollands could do no better than to sit down and watch Akers' game today and actually learn from it because, whilst Hollands was running a lot of metres, he wasn't really hurting anyone either on the scoreboard or, in fact, doing the things that Blake Akers finds himself doing now. So if he can continue to improve, Blake Akers will become a very, very important player in the Carlton football side.
Yeah, 100%.
Yes, he's certainly improved. He's certainly improved the wing for us this year, hasn't he? Compared with what we had with Jack Newmans before him.
Yeah, absolutely.
And look, the only thing I got with Akers is if he could just improve some of the, like he's got to kick 1 or 2 out on the full every week, which gives me heart.
He does do that.
Every week he has to do it. He's got to do it. But apart from that, like he gets
didn't you know that Blake Akers is sponsored by Alka-Seltzer?
Yeah, I'm telling you, man. He gives you
he's giving you plenty of heartburn and the indigestion and all that sort of thing, Rocco.
Yeah, no, he does.
You know,
or as we say in Italian, Brownie, acido, acid.
The acido, he gives you the acido, yeah. So, but look, he's done really well. I think we're a better side with Akers in there. So
yes,
definitely a better side with Akers in there. So we've taken care of one wing, and I do think Hollands is the other kid. Give him another year. He's on the other wing there. So we're slowly fixing up those issues that we had.
Okay.
What's this? We've got a question for you, Brownie. Was Rode the next player to wear 41?
After me?
I'm not sure. Was he?
Was
probably in a senior game. I'd say in a senior game, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he was.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. There you go.
In fact, I think Rhodey might have even played. He might have even played 45, 47 games, something like that, in the number 41. Something like that.
Yeah.
Back to the game. There is another question here. Is Binns... with Binns, is he the one that's going to probably fight for that wing? Is that the kind of position he plays? Does anyone know?
No. He's more of an on-baller, Rocco.
Yeah, more of a midfield, small forward, isn't he?
Yeah,
or mid-forward.
More of a midfielder. He's more of a, and I think that's one of the reasons he's struggling to get that opportunity because Voss seems to be settled on who he prefers to be in the middle of the ground. That's why Dow can't get a gig. So if Dow's not getting a gig, that's probably why Binns is not getting a gig. And Binns is 18 years of age. In his first year of football, he'll probably need to do another pre-season and build up his body a bit. And maybe he'll get that opportunity this year. But if not, I'm sure he'll certainly get that opportunity next year. I personally would like to see him be given an opportunity. Look, if our finals chances are gone, like if we say we lose the next couple of matches or, we lose to Fremantle and then Port Adelaide the week after and our finals chances are gone, that's where I think Voss needs to start doing what Brownie's saying, and that is giving some of these young blokes an opportunity. Maybe if there are players who need to get surgeries done that they normally wait till the end of the year, maybe they could get those done earlier and be ready for pre-season straight away. That's the sort of thing that a lot of clubs do when their finals chances are gone. They start playing young players and they put some of those other players that need surgery on ice.
I reckon he needs to go up before the end of the year. He needs to go.
I agree. I think he's earned it. Yeah,
a bit of a taste and see how he goes.
I think it might. If all else fails and we're in a situation where we mathematically can't make it, then I would suggest that they pull Cripps out of the game and they rest him and they actually manage him, because if not, he'll struggle to get another year out of him next year.
Yeah, I agree. We've got to.
It also comes down to how much the coach can sustain heavy losses, and it only takes one or two heavy losses before they start to get a bit anxious about their own position, and that's when they want their best players on the ground. And that's one of the reasons why I think in the past they haven't done that with Patrick Cripps when they probably should have.
Yeah, that's right.
No, they haven't managed him very well at all.
No, they burned them out, in fact.
The viewers out there, mate, they love you. Love you, Brownie. You are a champion, mate. So there you go.
There you go.
What about this one here? Like Super Brown. I love that one there.
Super
and what
Brownie.
About this one here? Now they're going to have a bit of a dig at you, mate. Lovely crop of hair there, Brownie. Look, mate, between me and you, we all had a lovely crop of hair those days, didn't we?
Even I used to have a nice crop of hair. Look at
that. Absolutely.
Yeah, no, definitely. No, that's it. All right. What's next?
We're all follically challenged when we get into our 50s and 60s, don't we?
Absolutely. And colour. And colour.
A lot more salt and pepper these days.
Yeah.
I'm trying to hold on to it, but it's slowly taking.
Rocco's trying to hold on to the pepper as long as he can.
Yeah, but he dyes his.
I do. I'm not going to lie. I do a little bit of dye there.
Oh, is that what it is, Rocco? Here I am thinking you found the fountain of youth.
Can't we?
Once upon a time, it was distinguished. Now it's age.
That's right. That's right. Now it's age. You're exactly right.
That's exactly right. All righty.
So what's next?
Well, it's time to give our predictions on next week's game against Fremantle.
All right. So before you do that, I did do a little bit of this. This is what we got next week: Fremantle v Carlton, round 17, 4:40 p.m. at Optus Stadium. So it's an away game against the Dockers. It's the last game of the round, isn't it, Vince?
It is. In fact, we may next week, because of the lateness of that game, it'll probably be finished. I'd suggest it'll be about 25 past 7 here in the eastern states. We may need to even just put a half an hour delay on our show next week. We might get it started at 8 o'clock just to be sensible about it. Especially with preparation of screens and things like that we need. So why don't we make an executive decision on that one now, Rocco? Seeing the lateness of that game is probably going to take us all the way through to close to 7:30.
Before we make it, first of all, one of the great show, boys. Age, well, I think he wrote, age is only a number. Yes, that's what I keep telling myself. But whenever I wake up and I find a new pain every morning, right, that's telling me that age is not just a number. So before we make that executive decision, what we're going to do is we're going to let the viewers decide, should we start half?
Okay. Why not? Right? Why not? We'll let the viewers decide.
Does everyone?
Do you want us to start? Just put down 7:30 or 8 p.m. What would you prefer?
You reckon?
Considering the game's probably going to be finished by about 25 past 7.
Yeah, so
would you rather have half an hour to get yourself prepared and look at the rest of the coverage, or would you rather get straight into Blue Sunday as soon as the show's over, as soon as the game's over? Sorry,
we could split the difference and make a core date.
Oh my God!
No, don't, no. Let's not complicate things, Brownie, please.
All right, here we go. We got already starting. John Holden at 8 p.m. Richard at 8 p.m. But then we got a controversial one there, 7:30. Oh,
there you go.
What's going to happen? What's this one say? DC 8. So I have time to brew a coffee. Well, that is important, people. That is important about coffee. So all right. So what about next week? What are we doing next week? What about the game, Brownie? What do you reckon?
Yeah, this is going to be an interesting one. It's a tough assignment any time to go to Western Australia and be able to perform on the big ground over there. So West Coast have got the wobbles a little bit. They're not performing well through their midfield, and I think that this is a great opportunity for Carlton to actually start to stamp their authority a bit. Interestingly enough, Jackson will probably take over the ruck duel because if Pettinet nor De Koning doesn't look like either of those are going to play. So it's going to be important, and it's going to be one out of the midfield, I think. I think the Dockers back line will probably struggle to match up. And I think if we can control the middle of the ground, then we'll control the game. So for mine, I'll go Carlton by about 15 points.
Nice.
Interesting.
Nice.
Well,
you want to go?
If I'm going to give my prediction, Rocco, I think that the coaching staff and selection committee would have decided this week that they could get away with not playing De Conning against Hawthorne and get away with it, and they did. And we still won by 10 goals. And the reason I think they did that is because they know how important it is to have a proper ruckman up against Fremantle, who have got both what's his name, number 4?
Jackson.
Darcy.
Yes.
Sean Darcy. And they've also
And
got Luke Jackson, the ex-Melbourne player, there as well in the ruck. Now, you know, the ruckmen that were up for Hawthorne today are nothing compared to those two. And if we've got to go in with just Silvani and Lewis Young, we're going to get smashed by those two ruckmen next week. So I think it's going to be crucial to at least have De Conning available. So I'm expecting De Conning to come back into the team. Not sure what you also think, Brownie, about other inclusions for this coming week, but considering the team's a winning team that's won the last two matches, I can't see too many changes to the side. Even though I still think that Binns and Dow and maybe look, Motlop kicked 4 goals in the VFL, and he's going back to his home state in WA. They might even just bring in Motlop this week as well. You never know. But it'll be interesting to see what happens at the selection table this week. I think Fremantle's playing for their season, and I expect this to be a really close contest. The team that can sustain the pressure a lot better will win, in my view. I think it'll be a close game, but I'm actually going to tip Fremantle this time, not by much, 8 points.
Yep.
And I'm only doing that because I need to catch up to you and Joe on the leaderboard.
That's controversial.
I have to start doing something.
just a couple of other quick things. Whether Wiedering goes or not, it will.
Well, that's another one. I mean, if he ends up getting suspended, that will weaken our defence again.
Well, it will weaken our defence, but it might also create an opportunity for guys like Kemp and these guys to step up, and then we could perhaps bring in Binns or Dow. And being a big ground, we need some fresh legs, so they'll be able to run a bit in that situation. So there is a couple of other things there as well. Now, I'm not sure about the Conning's injury. It sort of came out of the blue, and I thought, well, yeah, what's going on there?
Scans tomorrow. So Alana said scans for TDK tomorrow first, Vince. He's no certainty. So if that's the case, I don't know what's going on there.
Well, that worries me even more if he does not play.
DC, we usually play well in the West, and we do play well. It's probably one of the grounds we do play better at out of all the away games. You know.
We lost to Fremantle there last year, but we've beaten West Coast the last couple of times we've played them there.
Well, I think we didn't play
once
Fremantle
last year.
We played Fremantle there last year.
We were there, Rocco.
No, we played West Coast.
Yeah, we played West Coast this time, this coming weekend
last year. Fremantle last year. We played Fremantle here last year.
No, we also played them over there and we lost.
Did we? Oh, there we lost. So, look, it's going to be a tough game. This is tough, man. This is really a toss of the coin. I'm still not 100% convinced Fremantle play better over there. I still have to go for the Blues. I think, why not? Why not? We've got to get. I think the Blues will win it.
I reckon Joe would be going for Carlton too. I hope I'm not talking out of turn, but Joe always goes for Carlton. Yeah. So I think he'll be tipping Carlton again somehow. Well,
they reckon like people have been answering about. It's at Optus Oval, what's this one? We play Fremantle round 4. Right, everyone's here, runs on the ball here. No way Wiedering gets suspended, fine at best. It's funny because Wiedering, why is he getting cited? What did he give? He gave the good old jumper punch. So
we can blame you, Rocco.
No, man. There should be a rule. Everyone's allowed to give one jumper punch during the game. So there should be able to get away with that one there. So I'm going to say the Blues by 8 points. Wow, that's going to set the bloody heart rate going, isn't it? And if we win that by up, I'm telling you, the Blues are, mate, the Blue fans, mate, they're going to be up and about if we beat Fremantle.
Well, then we'll be up against Port Adelaide. If we can manage to knock over Fremantle, then we'll be up against Port Adelaide on a Saturday afternoon twilight fixture. Even your dog's getting excited there, Rocco. We'll be up against Port Adelaide the following week with a home crowd behind us. Imagine what that'll be like at Marvel Stadium.
Yeah. Just Cleo, calm down.
Rocco's always had trouble with the females in his life, Brownie.
No, getting excited about the Blues there, mate. Well done, Cleo. How many goals? 3 goals, man. She reckons 3 goals, so we should be right.
Okay.
So, So, all right. So let's hope we get that. Look, it's a good chance, man. It's a good contest next week. Coming up against Fremantle over there is a really good test for us, man. I think it's almost the perfect test.
Yep.
Well, Vince, I think we've actually done a good job, you and me, tonight. We've had the boss on board, and we've watched our P's and Q's, and we've done exactly what we should have done, and we've got a good scorecard and a report card out of it, you and me. So
I think
we'll have to see if the viewers agree with us in their comments.
Yeah.
Here it says here, this is interesting. Freo rarely kick more than 13 goals. Let's
and Carlton 14. Really kicked more than 8.
Well,
not the last 2 weeks. We've kicked.
Last 2 matches, we've had 18 and 17. We've had 18 and 17 the last 2 matches. Goodness me.
Yeah, but 6 weeks ago we couldn't get over 50 points. So
that's right.
That's right.
And we kicked that in a half. All right,
well,
guys.
Brownie, as usual, thanks so much for joining us tonight. Much appreciated. Always appreciate your insights and your views, and some of them get the viewers all stirred up. Whether they agree or disagree, but there's one thing for sure: we appreciate your honesty. That's for sure.
No problem at all. And to Joe, get better soon. Hopefully you get better really soon. Thank you to you two guys. Thanks for our viewers, and we'll see you next week.
Good on you, mate.
Brad, mate. You're a star. We'll see you next week. See you, mate. All right.
All right, Rocco.
What have we got next?
Now we've got the most anticipated segment in the whole show coming right up now. Could you get Cleo to co-host the show as well?
She wouldn't be a bad man. She's a good judge. All right.
Love Peter V. Bluebagger. Always great to see him joining us on the show.
Man, on everything. We love him. All right. So what are we doing next?
Well, we've got the much anticipated Omen Bet of the Week.
All right. So, as you know, I've got to be prompted. So let's go. Let's go do this one here. All right, that's a good one. All right, so first of all,
last week's bet. How did we go?
All right, let's have a look. At last week's bet. This is what we had last week. Is this the one? Yes, it was.
Yes.
What happened?
Explain Race 4, number 7. We backed the young Bluey, and he came in second. He blew it.
He blew it. Did you pick it for a win? Did you?
I picked it for the win. Would have paid $3.80 by the looks of those odds on the right-hand side, but he beat the favourite home, which finished in third position. The odds on $1.40 favourite, but the $8.50 third favourite knocked over both of them, Hurricane Franco. So unfortunately, we missed out on the chocolates there with young Bluey. But
Hurricane Franco, you should have known, mate. Like a name like Franco, Italian, they should have been.
No, Rocco, we went for the young Bluey because we're Carlton side's all full of young Blueys. This is all about the name of the horse for some reason.
Yeah. All right. So this
week we've got another bet at Pinjarra Harness Racing in Western Australia. Now this is for tomorrow. This is for tomorrow, Monday the 3rd of July. I think the race is at 2:25, is it, PM over in Perth? So 4:45. Yep. That's 4:25 on the east coast of Australia.
Yep.
Race 5 at Pinjarra Harness. Number 5, cherry on the cake. I thought I've got to have a bet on this thing.
So here we
to
go.
Be driven by champion driver Gary Hall Jr. Yeah. And wouldn't it be the cherry on the cake if we could knock over Fremantle this week and make it 3 in a row?
There you go. Race 5, number 5, cherry on the cake.
Yeah,
and
got a big chance.
Man, you got to go all in, mate. You've got to go all in.
Now what we're saying is another $10. That's what we're putting on, $10 for the win.
10 more bucks. All right, I like it. $10 more on.
It's the second favourite, so it's got a good chance.
And what was it paying? Sorry, I missed it.
Oh, it's going to be paying probably around the $4 mark.
Well,
maybe $3 mark, something like that. $3 to $4.
$4.
We should be able to get somewhere between $3 and $4 for it, I think.
I like it. You haven't been doing too well lately, but I've got a feeling on this one.
Well, I'm hoping that cherry on the cake can do exactly that. Put some cherry on the cake for us.
Yeah.
It'll be the cherry on the cake after 2 wins in a row. That's for sure.
Look, Peter should have gone winning a place. Yeah, we're all generals after the battle.
That's right. No, it wouldn't have paid much for the place, young Bluey. I think it would have paid, I don't know, $1.30 or something. Wouldn't have been worth it. But anyway, so we're going for the win, as Joe would say. Go hard or go home.
That's it.
So we're going for the win.
I agree.
So that's it, Rocco.
All right, so that's it. It's kind of it.
Well, we've just got to tell all of our viewers about the upcoming shows on the Blue Abroad channel and also on the Jumper Punch channel.
All right, the first thing we're going to do, me and you and everyone, thanks to Vince and his connections, we've got another great interview this week. Let's put up the promo.
G'day Blue Baggers, Brad Fisher here. Played 99 games for the Blues back in the early 2000s. Don't forget to watch the Jumper Punch every Tuesday night. Go Blues.
How good was Brad Fisher back in his day, eh?
We love Brad Fisher. He was a good, honest player, man. He was actually more than a good, honest player. If it wasn't for injuries, that bloke there
should have played double the amount of games he ended up playing.
Yeah.
One thing I was a bit dirty about. One thing I was very dirty about with the club is that he never got his 100th game. I think he was on 98 games at the start of 2010, and they only played him in one game, which was against Collingwood. I think he kicked the goal in that game too, but the ball hardly ever came down to our forward line. We got smashed. They ended up deciding to drop him the week after, and he never got his spot back in the team to play his 100th game. But ended up playing 99 games.
Then he kicked 10 goals in the reserves, and they couldn't find a way to put him back in.
I know.
What is going on? Seriously, I hope, right, his son is like number 1 pick, and those people have to sweat because they couldn't get him over the line.
I hope they have to take the Archidor tablets for the rest of their lives.
Remember, we came up with an idea. If his son is that good, we're bringing Brad back for one game on the bench to get that 100 up at 45 years old.
As the tactical sub.
As the tactical sub, yeah. And I reckon he could go out there and take it. Mate, he still looked fit. Way better than Zach Fisher, yeah. At the moment, you'd have to say that. That was a great interview. I loved Fish, man. Like, I loved him when we played, but actually meeting him, and I'm having he's such a nice young man.
He is. Can't believe he's actually turning 40 next year, Brad Fisher.
He's turning 40.
But he's got a lovely family, lovely wife and a couple of children. Probably too early to say whether his son's going to be a footballer, but no doubt his dad will give him every opportunity. But anyway, he's doing very well for himself now in business, and terrific guy who was quite open and honest with us about everything in that interview, wasn't he?
No, it was good. It was good. Always the interviews, we always get something out of it. And there was a couple of times that he said something that we just went, wow, I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So everyone's going to have to watch that 8 p.m. on the Wednesday, and that'll be after the Forever Rovers. Now, I'm a winner this week, or we all are winners this week again.
Yeah.
And there's a couple of losers.
except for a couple.
There's a couple that are going to cop it this week because they were mouthing off. Well, not so much Quinn, but Mark was mouthing off, so he's going to cop it.
Yes.
And then with Manny, well, we got the mannerism, so I'll always have something on that side there. So it should be good. 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. We always have. That's a good fun show. We have a bit of a laugh there. Not everyone takes it too serious, and we just have a look at each other, so everyone catch up with that. And naturally, this week, 7 p.m. on a Tuesday, as always. Everyone, do I have to tell you guys?
The jumper punch.
The jumper punch. You got to get on there.
On the Blue Broad channel. That's right.
Yep. So we've got another guest this week coming on.
Yes.
So yeah.
Have you heard from Mars, by the way? He's been overseas. He's been in Italy, and he's been in.
No. Mars is always he's having fun. I think at the moment he's in Greece, so he's having a bit of fun over there. So he won't be back until I think it's August. I think it's a St Kilda game. He'll be back. It might be St Kilda or it might be the Melbourne game. So anyway, there's still a few more weeks. He's going to be away. He's having a good time, so definitely he'll be back soon enough. Yeah. So
can you tell us who's joining you on the couch this week, Rocco?
Yeah, we can. It's no secret. It's Michael Maloney. He's been on before, so he's good value. So anyone that watches like fan cams or he was on there last year, he's good value. He knows what he's talking about, and he's pretty passionate about the team and the way we're going. So we're going to have him. So that's another different
voice.
A different voice.
And of course, speaking of voices, you've got SEN's very own Paul Sebastiani joining you as well, as usual.
Always got Paul. Well, that's without saying. You got Paul, and everyone straight after this should be getting onto SEN and listening to the cricket. I just heard they got another wicket, so it's 5 for 177 or something. So
they'll win that match. Don't worry about that. The Aussies will win the second test as well, and they'll go up 2-0.
I like it. Yeah, it's been good. So catch up that. So during the breaks and that, you get to listen to the what is it, the dulcet tones. What is it of
the dulcet tones?
Dulcet tones of
dulcet. That's right.
So that's
exactly. So that should be a great show coming up on Tuesday night. The Jumper Punch and all of the segments. Now you've probably got some members of the Jumper Punch channel who are in line for a guest spot on the couch, and also a kick with Ange Christou coming up soon.
So we're going to organise that. We keep doing it, but we will organise in the next couple of weeks, definitely, because Ange will be coming on the couch very soon in the next couple of weeks. So we want to organise that. But this week we are going to announce the next person to come out onto the couch this week. So become a member. Because this week we're going to announce the next one. And if you don't think it's fun, well, ask Matula how much fun it was to come on the couch and have a bit of a talk with us. Yeah, so we'll do that this week. Same segments, you know how it is. Banana, Mucky Cats, all of them, all the favourites will be out there. We're going to have what's this one say? No Carlton bananas. No, I don't think there's Carlton bananas. Well, not the team.
No.
There might be a few other Carlton bananas. Everyone will have to watch that one there. So that's it.
Very good.
All right, guys.
That sounds like fun. And, of course, we'll be back next Sunday night. Now, have we decided whether it's going to be 7:30 or 8 o'clock, Rocco? Have we had a bit of a test of the water here?
I think it's 8 o'clock. Everyone's been saying 8 o'clock. So
they want a bit of a break in between the game and the start of our show.
I think it's perfect.
Maybe a bit of something to eat for dinner, or make a cup of coffee, or just a bit of a psychological break after the game, I think, for half an hour.
100%. So I think we'll do that. So, all right, guys. Okay. All right. So do you
and the other thing, of course, Rocco, is if you happen to have a delay, for example, like an injury that might take 5 or 10 minutes for a player to get off the ground or something like that, that can delay the game, and all of a sudden the game's not even finished, and you're due to start the show at 7:30. So, that'd be a bit silly to start the show under those circumstances too. So probably 8 o'clock makes a lot of sense.
No, 100%. 100%. We'll do a 8 o'clock start, Thanks, DC. Says a fantastic show.
Thanks, DC.
Thanks, guys, for joining us. Everyone, trust me, we appreciate everyone joining us, and we love the support. We love doing this, and we love that you guys join us. Push the like, subscribe, all those things.
Yeah.
And that's it. Did you
all the best to Joe? Speedy recovery.
And Joe, all the best to Joe. Look, he's had a bit of food poisoning. Let's not get over the board there. Come on. Get up. Get about. Stop being a wolf man. What's wrong with you?
Stop eating salami.
Oh, mate, what are you doing? Stop eating that fish on the street. No, I'm sure he's going to be right. He's going to be right. He'll be back next week to take hold of the reins. All right. Do you want to play the theme song? I don't know.
Well, we normally do when we have a win, Rocco, so we might as well let it rip. Until next week, everyone.
Let's go. Go Blues.
Go Blues.
We are the Navy Blues. We are the old dark Navy Blues. We're the team that never lets you down. We're the only team old Carlton knows. With all the champions they like to send up, we'll keep our end up, and they will know that they've been playing against the famous old dark Blues.